I had some friends over last night who were not Christians. They had called and said, let's get together. And they came over and brought some pizza, and we had a good time. And you know what? We didn't talk about Jesus or the Bible at all. Spent about 3 hours with them last night, and they were watching their language and stuff, out of respect for me, because they know I'm a Christian. Everybody, all my friends know that I'm a Christian. I'm on Facebook doing quite a bit of writing, and there's no doubt that I'm a Christian. And I just, I, I would say that I forgot to tell them while they were here that if they turned or burned and repented, and Jesus was coming with wrath, and there is, there is no doubt about that. And I know that. And they know that. Okay? We just didn't take the time to talk about it because I'm a child of the 60s and of the 70s. I was born in 62. So that's out there. Cat's out of the bag. But back in the 70s, we talked a lot about the fact that what you could do is you could be a Christian around someone and be the only, because you might be the only view into Jesus that they would see. And I could have run them off pretty quickly. As soon as they got here, I could have said, Jesus is coming back. Do you know where, if you died tonight, do you know where you would be? And I would have run them off. But I didn't see the need to do that. You know what? Jesus didn't see the need to do that often. Now, he did say when he was confronted with sin, the woman who was caught in adultery, he said, sin no more. Okay, he healed a guy who couldn't walk. And he said, don't sin, something worse might happen to you. And he preached about sin, and he preached about hell. But there was a time and a place for that, and he took advantage of it when it happened. But you know what? When he was at the wedding, you know what he brought? He brought the wine. There was other wine there, but he brought the good stuff. And I imagine they did some dancing and some partying, and Jesus drank, and and they had a good time. And I don't remember him saying, let's talk about the wrath of God at that time. Now, he was there with his disciples, I imagine. He was there with his mother. He was there with other people, and they had a good time. I imagine everybody knew who Jesus was. They came away from that party thinking, you know what? He's a pretty good old boy, Jesus. And when they got word, when the Holy Spirit convicted them, the Holy Spirit wasn't actually there at the time, but when they got convicted, okay, they would go to Jesus because they knew where they could get the truth, okay? And there were other times when some of those people, I'm sure, would show up at one of his sermons and they would hear some preaching about hell and preaching about sin. Jesus didn't lean on that every day, okay? He didn't feel the need to say, every time he spoke to a non-Christian, to say, the wrath of God is coming. Sometimes he just said, how you doing? Here's some wine. When I talked to those friends of mine last night, I knew the wrath of God was coming. I knew that Jesus was coming with wrath. I knew that. But I chose, being led by the Holy Spirit, having prayed, to not lean upon that last night, but to lean more in the direction that Jesus leaned when he was at the wedding. Okay, those friends of mine, for some reason, were led over here to come over here and spend time with a Christian, and they knew what they were doing. Okay, they didn't come over here to try to talk me into not being a Christian. They come over here to spend some time with a Christian, not knowing what they were going to run into. They might have run into turn or burn last night. They might have run into, if you die tonight, do you know where you'll spend eternity? But what they did run into was Jesus at the wedding, basically. All right? They had a good time and they thought, you know what? Christians aren't so bad after all. Maybe we want to come over there and spend some more time with that Christian because we sure did have a good time last night. And they know if they come back, if they keep coming back, They're going to hear more. They're going to hear more Jesus, and they're going to see more Jesus. And eventually, the Holy Spirit's going to lead them, as He's led other friends of mine, to ask if we can talk about Jesus. Read the crowd, just like Jesus read the crowd. Okay? Pray. Follow the leading of the Holy Spirit. Don't always lean on the wrath of God. Don't always do that.